Giants announced the Jaxson Dart rookie quarterback first-round selection for Big Blue in the 2025 draft will make his official starting QB debut in Week 4 against the LA Chargers. Now, this may come as a surprise to some of the fan base, given the expectations that we felt were laid out. And by all assumptions here, reporting inside the building said, yes, everyone believes in this kid. They believe that he has the it factor, that he will be the franchise quarterback, but there was also the belief that the Giants were going to take their time with his development, that he would start when he was ready. Now, it could be that him being ready to start was supposed to come in Week 5, in Week 10, in Week 15. But here we are entering Week 4, and Jaxson Dart will step under center. The other part of this that comes up is obviously that the New York Football Giants have struggled to start the season. Russell Wilson had a moment in Week 2 against the Dallas Cowboys. But guess what? In Week 3, Caleb Williams had a bit of a moment against the Dallas Cowboys too. It's a suspect defense. It's a suspect secondary also dealing with injuries. So all of a sudden, that one bright, shining 450-yard, 3-touchdown day falls by the wayside. And what you're left with is 2 games where Russell Wilson looked like a 36, going to be 37-year-old quarterback who maybe is shying away from some of the contact, who maybe is looking to avoid some of those big hits and has a hard time staying in the pocket and keeping his eyes downfield when the pressure is mounting against him. Okay, fine. First and foremost, let me just say, I'm excited because it's the prospect of having a franchise quarterback again for the New York Football Giants. Daniel Jones, we thought could have been that guy. Daniel Jones maybe still is that guy. He's just not going to be that guy for the New York Football Giants. He's going to be that guy for the Indianapolis Colts. So now you have Jaxson Dart, and the question becomes, is this decision being made of sound mind and body? Or are there factors at play here that could ultimately put Jaxson Dart at risk of being stunted in his growth? I have a sneaky reason why I think the plan all along actually may have been to start him sooner than Week 4. So the Giants in the offseason bring in Russell Wilson because John Mara said, I'm bringing back Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen. I want continuity. I don't want to keep turning things over. Okay, you didn't give him a contract extension, though. So you want to have continuity for 1 more year. They make that choice. That's great. Now, phase 2 of that is you signed Russell Wilson. First you signed Jameis Winston. Then you see that Russell Wilson's on the market, and you say, okay, we'll bring him in as well. Let's give Brian Daboll veteran experienced quarterbacks that can help him serve the agenda set down by John Mara. Go out there and try to win football games. Show that you can win football games. Secretly, all the fans knew we're only looking for competency. Can you just show us that you're capable of actually competing week over week? Then you run into a bit of a funny thing, right? On the way to the regular season, Brian Daboll gets pretty hyped about Jaxson Dart. We see him talking, the draft day video, Joe Schoen saying, hey, you believe in him. You did your research. You have your conviction. Okay, we're going to draft Jaxson Dart for you. I actually think, first of all, that serving 2 agendas creates a bit of a problem here, and that's a little bit of what happened. But here's the other one. The other thing that I think happened here was Brian Daboll really does love Jaxson Dart. He believes he can be the franchise guy, and he would have started him Week 1 with or without Russell Wilson, with or without Jameis Winston. But the reason why he didn't start him Week 1, Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas played 25 snaps in Week 3, finally back off of that foot surgery, finally through the offseason of recovery. He's on a snap count. I'm assuming that when we get to Week 4 here, he'll be all but 100% full go, give me the full load of reps. Maybe it won't be, but my suspicion is if Brian Daboll knew that Andrew Thomas was going to be healthy Week 1, he would have pulled the trigger on starting Jaxson Dart. Because yes, his job is on the line, but also, yes, Jaxson Dart might give him and his offense the best chance to win games, the best chance to signal to ownership, we have our guy, you will see the change in this offensive system, and we can look like a franchise that is capable in going out and competing on Sundays and potentially winning games. And you could make a case that if you put in not necessarily Jaxson Dart, but name a handful of other quarterbacks who could have played in Week 1, who could have played in Week 3, maybe the Giants win one of those 2 games. Maybe they're 1-2 instead of 0-3. You could also make the case that if you had a kicker, only in New York. If you had a kicker, just like the problem we had last year, maybe things would have looked different against the Kansas City Chiefs. So there is this world where Brian Daboll, remember, going back to when he first took the job, he's a fiery head coach, passionate. He was a go-for-it kind of guy. That got watered down and really drained out of him season over season as we saw the way he struggled to find the path forward with this team, with Daniel Jones. Now here we are. We're going to have a lot more to talk about, including what does the matchup look like for Jaxson Dart? Where can he be successful? What will the game plan look like? A lot more RPOs are going to get used here. We don't know. When you keep him under center, when you ask him to stand in the pocket and face the pressure and deliver the passes downfield, we don't know what Dart's going to look like early on. Like, we believe where he's going to go, but early on, it may look ugly, right? He's going to be a rookie. He's going to take his licks. Heard Darius Slayton say, expect that to be the case. Expect it to be a bit of a struggle for the New York Football Giants as they transition to their rookie QB. But in the meantime, you're looking for moments, right? You're looking for flashes. And I don't know what happened inside the locker room potentially here, right? A rookie quarterback needs time to come along. You have a locker room with a ton of veterans in it. Specifically, when you think about the defensive side of the football, right? Dexter Lawrence, veteran, been here a long time, probably pretty frustrated they're not winning. Brian Burns, you go and you trade for him. He's excited to get the new contract. He's excited to be out from underneath Carolina Panthers and that losing way of football. And yet he's here, and there's a lot of losing football. You brought in some free agents in Holland, in Adebo, to fill out this secondary and try to solidify it. So you got guys that want to win. Okereke, right? A lot of veterans on that side of the football who maybe look back over this past season and now 3 games as well and say, hey, man, we played some good ball here, and we weren't getting rewarded with opportunities to win football games. So that part of it, I think, is interesting. Offensively, it's all a work in progress. But you're now into year 2 of Malik Neighbors, right? We're now getting into contract extension potential for Wan'Dale Robinson. You got to find a way to show these guys that they're going to get rewarded week over week. There's belief inside the building in Jaxson Dart. They make the decision to go with him now. Everybody inside the chat, hey, how's it going? I'm going to be honest with you. The glasses are off, so I'm not going to be able to readily identify the individuals in there. But I appreciate you being a part of it. We're going to have a lot more coverage around this, by the way. I said, matchup, where can Dart take advantage of it? What do we expect things to look like going forward? And then the reality check. Does this matter to what happens to Brian Daboll? Remember, it was Pat Shurmur who pushed and advocated for the Giants to draft Daniel Jones. It didn't save his job. They moved on from him, right? So Jaxson Dart can look like the guy, and also Brian Daboll cannot be the guy. And that's going to be fascinating to me. I don't know if there's a world where Brian Daboll is fired in season as the team potentially loses games while Jaxson Dart incrementally starts to look better. That's a TBD. Is Mike Kafka the guy who's doing the offensive play calling again this season, who was underneath Andy Reid for a number of years, right? Maybe they do want to end up giving him a look. Continuity and consistency matters, right? There is going to be a problem we run into here if the Giants organization doesn't necessarily believe in Brian Daboll, but they find themselves believing in Jaxson Dart, and then what? A new head coach, a new system, right? We know how that can stunt the development of a young player. So if you don't believe in Brian Daboll, maybe you do go to Mike Kafka at some point this year and say, hey, let's see what you would do with him. Let's see what this can look like, because maybe we'll move forward with you. That's all rumor, speculation, and conjecture. That doesn't really matter. What matters most here is the fan base that has been desperate to get re-engaged with their franchise has a reason to be, and it's Jaxson Dart. Will it be concerning if this came down from ownership to start him? Yeah, right? If they bypass the GM or bypass the coaching staff and said, we need to see him now, of course it's going to be a problem. But if, like I maybe suspect, that a healthy Andrew Thomas and a solid offensive line play is the only thing that prevented them from pulling the trigger even sooner on the rookie QB, then we could be in for a really exciting debut. Chargers is a tough matchup. What's nice about starting against the Chargers is, yeah, maybe take some licks, maybe learn some things, and then come back the following week against the Saints and be able to go out with a little bit of a cleaner process and get a winnable game. So that might be a part of their thinking too. Don't forget, they're going to play the Eagles in 2 out of the next 3 weeks after the Saints as well. So there's no perfect spot here with the way the Giants' schedule breaks down. If you're going to get the rookie in, let's get him in. Remember, Peyton Manning started his rookie year, threw a ton of interceptions, looked bad, and then came back the next year and started to show that progress. So line of thinking will be something that we'll see on game day. But until then, Jaxson Dart getting the start, your franchise quarterback for the New York Football Giants under center against the Chargers. Really exciting time if you're a fan of this team, and maybe most importantly, a fan of Jaxson Dart. We don't know about Dable. Maybe we don't know about Shane. We know ownership's always going to be here. So you try to continue to find reasons to re-believe ownership, who's been at the helm when the team has won championships, and now put a lot of faith and stock into Jaxson Dart, who, by the way, one thing I'll leave you with here is has personality, has a bit of swagger to him. The Giants had Eli Manning, very subdued, very calm during his playing career. Won you championships, so it was all good. Daniel Jones, also very subdued, very calm, not a lot of winning. It's going to be fun to see a quarterback that you look around the league and who has a real juice to him. You saw it in the preseason. When this guy gets a touchdown, he's going to celebrate. He's going to be up in his teammates' face. And I think that matters specifically on offensive side of the ball with a Malik Neighbors, with a Cam Scattaboo, who looked good as he came on and really took on a larger role in relief of Tracy, who went down with the shoulder injury. Like, now you're starting to form a young identity on the offensive side of the football. And I think that those 3 players, that triumvirate there, along with Wandale, along maybe with Theo Johnson, right? Like we know these other pieces, but those 3 guys maybe could actually start to give you a little bit of that old school vibe that the Giants have lacked in recent years. Good Lord. Here's what you get to do. You go over and you check out the Substack, One Giant Podcast. We'll be having some articles coming out there talking about historically, how have rookies fared in their debuts in the NFL? How have they looked over the course of their rookie season? And an interesting thing that we want to talk about as the season unfolds for Jaxson Dart is what does it look like over the course of a rookie year when they start versus when they sit, and the impact it maybe has on year number 2. We often talk about quarterbacks that start in their rookie year and what that looks like, but you have to factor in year 2. What was the benefit of getting those reps in their first season? We'll do some of that over there. Right here on YouTube, we'll do some of this with Andrew Makowitz, our co-host, obviously, of OGP, and then over on social as well. So follow us. We have been absolutely absentee when it comes to the start of this season. It's been busy and shifting schedules, but we're incredibly excited to now come back in full force with the start. And by the way, I can remember it in my head when they drafted Daniel Jones and what that vibe felt like. It didn't work out with him, but you draft a quarterback in the first round. It's just a matter of when are we going to see him? What is that going to look like? Comes in relief of Eli Manning, has that flash, right? And it gives you some juice about the rest of the year. And for a team that has had the fan base basically check out within the first 3 weeks to a month of a season in terms of optimism or anything worth watching, this is something that'll be worth watching in week 4 and all the way through week 18, because this could be the future. Support us in all those great ways. Thank you for being inside of the chat. Jaxson Dart, NFL starting debut, week 4 against the LA Chargers. We'll break down the matchup and so much more. Be back in next time, talking all things, as Andrew Makowitz would want, need, and nay, demand the people know. Let's go, Big Blue. I might have messed that up a little bit, but that's why he handles it. We'll see you next time.